Hello and welcome back. It's March 2024 and this is the March 24 Vineyard Update. We've had several great things going on this month and let me go through those. But first, if you want to follow along, keep up with what we're doing, please subscribe. Hit the bell for any notifications. We'd love to have you join us on our little journey here. First off, we've got bud break. Take a look at this. We'll get into this a little later, but we do have bud break. Yep, we got bud break. It's on the Grenache. Cabernet Sauvignon, still thinking about it. And the white are, I'm pretty sure they're farther behind than that. But let me show you the first thing we did this month that is really exciting for the vineyard here. For those of you who may not know, Temecula has some of the oldest active vines in California. Down on the Pechanga Indian reservations, down in Luceno Indian Reservation, there are some vines called Mission Vines. Now back in the 1700s, 1760s I think, when the missionaries and the Catholic came up and were building the missions out in San Juan Capistrano, they actually sent people out here to Temecula because the environment is perfect for them and planted vines. The vines that I was able to look at this week, at these vines here, take a look. These vines were actually planted in around 1900, 124 years ago, let's say, 124-year-old vines. And we went through and did some pruning on these vines, which gave me the opportunity to actually get some clippings from those Mission vines. Here are those clippings. I've got about 40 clippings soaking in water. I'm going to plant them later in those buckets right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm hoping that all of them come through because I've got 40 of them. And I can then transplant those next year. I've got some right here. These are actually Chenin Blanc clippings from my pruning this year, and I'm propagating these in hopes I can get out of these. I think I've got 16 of them. I need about 15 or 16 I'm hoping I can get as well. As I said, I was one of a few people that were privileged to go on to the Pechanga Indian Reservation and trim the 125-year-old Mission vines. And as a result, I'm able to keep some of the clippings from those vines. Now, what we do is we take the clippings and we put them into buckets just like this. By doing this, what we do is we take the clippings that I clipped off yesterday. This is one of the clippings from yesterday. It's been soaking in water since yesterday when I clipped it. We then put it into a root stimulator. This is a root stimulator that'll actually stimulate the roots as they start to grow. And essentially all we do is we punch it into the pot, make sure it's ready to go. These are the last two I've got. These are the last two that I had to put into the pots, so I thought I'd show you. So I essentially put it into the root stimulator, get some little powder on there, and then we take that over and we stick it into the pot. Get in there, get in there. So now I screwed up and I only have 39. I've got 39 Mission vines. Now, one of the interesting things about this hobby is you have to have tons of patience, whether it's growing grapes or making wine. Either one, you have to hurry up and wait, much like when you're in the Marine Corps. These will sit here for probably 2 months. In about 2 months, we should see growth off of them, and then at that point I will transfer them into a raised garden and allow them to grow the rest of the year. And we'll be planting these about this time next year. So it's not a process that is done quickly. So those are my Mission grapevines. By propagating these Mission vines, our little vineyard is going to have a history dating back hundreds of years. We'll have a Mission vines Mission grapes, and hopefully in about 4 years we can have you test some of them if you like. You're probably going to get tired of hearing this, but one of the other tasks we're doing this month obviously is spraying the vines. Here's our little friend again, spraying the vines. Every 2 weeks we're going through and spraying the vines with neem oil, just to try to make this environment unfriendly as possible to any of those pests. So that's one of the tasks we're doing for this month here in Gavilan Hills Vineyard. The other exciting thing going on this month is that we actually have bud break. Take a look at this. We've got some nice buds coming in. The plants are coming along just fine after our pruning last month. We had bud break about a week ago in these Grenache vines. And the Cabernet Sauvignon is still not quite there yet. About half of the Grenache vines have bud break. The other ones you can see are coming probably this week. We just need a little sunshine and we'll get a little more bud break from the Grenache. With bud break, it also gives us a chance to look at some of the areas where we made a mistake in pruning, or we have to come back later. If you take a look at this bud right here, this bud actually has 2 shoots coming out. That one's got one, that one's got one. It's got a base bud down below over there. It's got a, right here, I've got a shoot. I've got a bud that broke with 2 shoots coming out. Now, I'm not sure I want to have 2 shoots on this particular vine. So what we're going to be doing is coming back and trimming this, or doing some shoot pruning next month. With bud break, what it does is it forces us now to go into the next step. We've got to go through the vineyard and look at the irrigation. Because of the hard water we have here, the emitters get clogged, is the best way to put it. Even though I have filters, it just doesn't clean up the water as much as I would like it to do. So we've got to go through and look at every single emitter and make sure I've got water flow going to the plants. So for the irrigation, there's a couple of things I look at and I have to correct because I made a mistake on some stuff as well. But let's take a look at what we do for these emitters. So here's what we're looking at. What we do is I want to come to each vine and I want to make sure that I've got 2 emitters dumping water, the best way to put it. So I've got this emitter here that's dumping water right where it should be, and I've got water coming out of my tube here. So I've got a tube, like I've done in my other videos, that goes into my watering tube down below. Now, one of the problems I had this year, and I'll show you in a second, is that these watering tubes, whether it's wind, heat, dogs, they actually keep coming out of the tube. These watering tubes, get on there. These watering tubes are popping out of the tubes, and I needed a way to get them to stay in here. And I came up with this ingenious idea, is I'm using 3/4 inch binder clips. Sorry about that, I pulled it off the emitter. So now this one is, even though it's not very far into the tube, it actually won't pull out. If I pull on it like this, it doesn't really come out. So the dogs, the wind, the heat won't affect that tube. Here's another good example. I've got the one tube on top and then the one going into the watering tube. The pipe is not long enough. It is really short. But by sticking that onto my binder clip, it's right where it needs to be. Let's take a look at this one. This one, I've got water flowing into the watering tube, but see how much water is coming out of this this emitter right here? Really needs to be replaced. So let's go ahead and mark this emitter for replacement as well. So now I've got an emitter that needs replaced, and I just have to put a little binder clip on the watering tube. So that gives you an idea of what we've got to do for the irrigation. Now that we've got bud break, I'm going to be turning on irrigation probably in a week or so, maybe 2. We're still getting rain, intermittent rain here and there. We had a heavy rain last night, so it's really not needed to get the vines working and doing their thing. I don't need to turn on the irrigation just yet. So we've got bud break in March. We've got irrigation going on. We're still spraying for the bugs. So we're still pretty active in March. And things are looking up. It's really starting to get better. I think we're going to have a little bit of warmer weather coming up, and as soon as the sun comes out for any length of time, we should get bud break on the rest of the vines. So this is Jeff. Please subscribe, talk to us, let us know what you think. And until next time, we're out.